I'm really excited to be here today. We have the Kelly Roberts, all the way from New York. Kelly Roberts is a coach and she is the founder of the Badass Lady Gang. Now, how's that for a title? That says it all. And Kelly is also has a podcast, which she shares motivational tips and tricks. And I know she got a number of the people I trained to the New York Marathon in 2018 and 2019. Listening to her in the mornings on their runs, they shared so many laughs with Kelly. So Kelly, thank you for being here today. It's delightful to have you, so thank you. And first of all, I just want to say hello and welcome, and can you please introduce yourself to us?
Of course. I mean, what else is there to say? I feel like I should pay you to come hang out with me, Anna, and just like hype me up. You made me feel so nice.
Oh, you don't need any hyping. You're wonderful. But I do want to see your Badass Lady Gang. Just show us your little, there we go, the Badass Lady Gang.
It's pretty obnoxious. I don't know about you, because you sport your brand all the time too, but like the only clothing I have is now my clothing. I've been doing this long enough that like I have enough samples in clothing and everyone's like, do you wear anything else?
I know people say to me, you look so good and I'm only in a pair of jeans and a shirt.
Oh, I've got my jammies on. Oh. This is my jammies Badass Lady Gang.
Oh yeah, because it's nighttime over there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like almost 9 o'clock for me. So after this, I'm going to bed. But I can introduce myself to you. You did such a beautiful job. I do a very similar vertical as you. You know, a lot of people who are unlikely athletes and unlikely runners, or people who feel like they are not seen, or just people who are tired of suffering alone and find so much joy in the struggle in community and training with a team. So we do running coaching, we do these training experiences that are very group coaching focused, but online. We don't do in-person stuff like you do, which I wish we could, but
you're a bit more spread out over there.
At once.
Yeah. And you're very spread out.
America's very large.
Yeah,
very large.
Yeah, in Adelaide, it's very easy for us to get around. And Kelly, you're going to share with us your top 10 tips today as a coach and what you've found. So thank you, because, your knowledge that you've built up over the years is really helpful, because, of course, people learn from different people, different coaches. You can't get one thing from one person. So thank you for being able to share that with us today. It's I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot too. So do you want to start us off with your first tip?
I've, similar to you, like chased huge outcome goals and big moonshot dream PR times. I've struggled through my first and felt like I was going to die every step of the way. And now that I've been running for almost 10 years, I'm coming back from like back-to-back injuries on top of the pandemic. So like my last 3 years have just been so different than what they have been going into a marathon in the past. And this feels very much like how I felt in my first time. Like I feel like I don't have enough time and I'm very worried about making it to race day. But it's like my first tip is perfect for like anyone across the board. It's start from where you are. Whether you have a coach like me or Anna, or whether you are finding a training plan online or in an app, it's really important to know that everything is flexible and you need to start from where you are. If your first long run has you running 90 minutes and the furthest you've gone is 60 minutes, don't do the 90-minute run. Start where you are, like add on a teensy bit, maybe 10 minutes, maybe 1 mile, and start there and adjust your training plan to where you are. And don't be afraid to go online and ask for help. I would say there are gentler places online than others, and runners love to give advice. So be careful where you go online, but communities like ours are perfect places to start. So start from where you are. Don't be afraid to do less, even though you feel like you have this like ticking clock that is like ominously moving towards you rapidly.
And that's so true, Kelly, because people get into a program and they go, oh, well, she's doing 10K, so I should be doing 10Ks. It's like, no, you can't. Don't do it. Just go to your 4Ks, go to your 4.4, do it slowly, listen to your body, because otherwise you're susceptible to injury and it's going to be a really hard ride to get there. And it's a really hard thing to get into your head, even for myself and you're eager and you go, well, I'm feeling really good. And, oh, I did 8Ks but you're just so susceptible to breaking down. So I think you're exactly right. Kelly, when's your next race? You said you've got one coming up. When's your next marathon?
Everyone on the team and our Badass Lady Gang team is running Chicago. So many people are. And I got looped into the excitement. And then I sprained my ankle. I was really excited, but then I sprained my ankle about 2.5 months ago.
Oh, that's
pretty
right.
bad. So I'm pretty nervous. But I'm also in a position now where I'm like, I would never have done this in the past. Like I would be like, it's race day or bust. I'm like, if at any point I don't feel like this is the safe and healthy option for me and I'm not enjoying myself, like I'm just not going to run the race. Whereas in the past, I would have been like, I have to run the race.
Yeah, and that's
I've told everyone.
Yeah, and that's important too, isn't it, Kelly? You know, you got to know when to call it, and that's the same with the long run.
There's no shame.
No.
It's not a failure. A marathon is a huge, huge undertaking. And I think everybody knows that. But I feel like once we start telling people we're doing it, we feel this like real pressure to do it come hell or high water. And we like really, I coach so many people who I like wish they would make the harder decision to not do it because the injury is there and, you know, it's going to be there next year or there's other races and it's a heartbreaking decision if you can't do it, but it's not about race day. It's about the training process.
Yeah. And the training process is wonderful as long as you go slow. And if you think you're going too fast, you are going too fast. So that's a wonderful tip. Thanks, Kelly. What's the tip number 2, Kelly?
It kind of is like the left hand to the first tip. It's make the plan work for you. You know, like you're not a professional athlete. You have a life. You have a family, you have work obligations. It is very hard to find the time to make everything work. So it is up to you to make sure that the plan works for you and you're not a slave to the plan. I think there's a big difference between making sure that you're doing enough. We like to think of it like coins in a coin jar. Like if you think about a big jar and you have to put in a certain amount of money to get in to race day, to pay admission, right? If the jar all the way full is like the goal, there's about like a 70% line. That's about admission. Everything else is like icing on the cake. There is a certain amount of work that needs to be done, but your plan is flexible and needs to work for you. You know, with COVID still being such a thing for all of us, it's at least this is what I'm telling all my athletes. I'm like, you need to plan for what happens if you or your kid or someone gets COVID and the training gets derailed. You know, we need to plan for things that we weren't planning for before. So don't stress if we lose a week or 2 of 3 of training and things need to be flexible and adjust. Things happen. People pass away. People get sick, right? Work blows up. We need to be okay with that sort of stuff and you need to make a plan, but you need to be flexible.
Yeah, that's a great one. I always say, you know, it's never a straight line, you know, like a success is like this. It's not like this. Everyone has obstacles and it's how you navigate those obstacles and how it's a mental thing, isn't it? 90% mental. If you can overcome those obstacles of sickness, kids, and not worry about it, but do what you can when you can and take it. And like you said, I think 70%, like that jar is a really good visualization. If you've got that jar 70% full, that's fantastic. It's a wonderful thing. You don't have to have it 100%.
I always tell everybody too, I'm like, and look, can you get in on 60%? You can. You can go beg for the extra 10% on the course.
Yeah.
Right? Like it does. We all know people who have gone into stuff like severely undertrained. You have to do your best. There's a difference between like having the time and not getting yourself to the place where you're excited about doing the work and just genuinely not having the time and doing your absolute best. We want you always doing your best and making sure that you're doing it for you and enjoying it as much as you can, right? Like you have to find the fun because training for a marathon is really hard. It's really painful.
Yeah, it totally is. And I had one lady ring me at the start of this year, Kelly, in January, and she said, I hate running, never want to run. Do you think I could run the New York Marathon this year? And I'm like, well, I don't like talking myself out of business, but no, I don't think you can. Because, you know, she's got to be motivated and enjoy it. Anyway, she's flipped it, and now she's running 10, 12 Ks, and she's loving it. So, you know, it really... Oh,
my God.
Yeah. She wanted to prove me wrong, but I didn't want to tell her because you actually, like you said, you have to be motivated. You have to enjoy it. Yeah. And if you don't, then you have to relook at your goals and why you're doing it, don't you?
Yeah, I'm a huge believer in the marathon is one distance. It's not like the distance. It's not going to make you a runner. It's not going to prove to people that you're a runner. I always tell people, if you don't feel compelled to run a marathon, don't do it. Marathon. It's too much work, right? Like it's so hard on the people around you. Your family hates you. Your friends hate you. everyone hates you for like months and you're so annoying and obnoxious. I did my first, oh God, it was probably like 11K. I did my first 11K yesterday. Could not walk. Like we went to IKEA, me and my boyfriend, and he was like, "Is this what it's going to be like?" And I was like, "Yes, it is."
It's true. But it's such a reward for getting there, you know, and it is, if you are motivated like you and I and all our people that we train, it is a wonderful thing because it's attainable for everybody. And the thing that I love about marathon is that everyone gets the same medal from the front to the back and, you know, and it's a goal for you. So, you know, on the flip side, it's actually really good. But yeah, I agree. You have to be motivated. So
Totally.
Flexible, I agree totally about that program. Make it fit. If it says Monday and Wednesdays, make it Tuesdays, Thursdays, or make it when your kids run, or, you know, do their sport, whatever it is. Great point, Kelly. Number 3, which I think is absolutely essential, and this is a really hard one. So what's that from you,
This
Kelly?
is the one that everyone will learn by doing.
Yes, unfortunately.
Rehabbing injuries is easier than rehabbing them. I know, especially here in the States, like access to a physio, as you guys call them, physical therapist for us, is an absolute privilege. It's very expensive for us and it's very hard to go. But running a marathon is very hard on your body. It's very different than running a half marathon or a 10K or a 5K. If you have access to them, go get a gait analysis, have them look at what your weak areas are before you get injured. But go see someone because prehabbing is so important because I tell everybody it's not a matter of if you're going to get hurt. It's a matter of when. And it's my job to try to make sure that when that happens, it's like the tiniest, littlest blip on the radar and not something that's going to either take you out of the race completely or take you out for weeks on end.
Yeah. I think that's really important because once they also get the injury, people try because they're so, they don't want to take the time off that the injury gets worse and worse. So the prehab, I love that idea too, Kelly. And physios here in Australia are much more accessible and, you know, a lot of people have private health. So, you know, I often say to my people, just go book in, particularly as you're getting closer, you know, once a fortnight, even if you don't feel like it, just go in and get a stretch because it's like having a car, isn't it? You've got to keep the car serviced. But this is our body and that's what we're making do this long distance running. So I think that's a fantastic point and, you know, everyone needs to listen to their bodies, but having, once again, a coach behind you, which a physio essentially can be, to tell you where your weaker areas are and your glutes or wherever it is, you can get on top of it before it happens. Love it, Kelly. Thank you. Number 4.
So important.
Yeah.
Focus on putting the coins in the coin jar each and every day because that's not just the running, right? A rest day is a coin in the coin jar. Foam rolling is coins in the coin jar. Making sure that you're getting enough, you know, protein, fat, carbs, fiber after a run quickly, you know, in that window to try to make sure that, you know, you jumpstart muscle protein synthesis, coins in the coin jar. Making sure you're staying out of low energy availability and you're eating, coins in the coin jar. Strength work, cross training, long runs, everything is coins in the coin jar. So when you think about it like that, it's a way to not feel guilty when you're taking a rest day or you're recovering and you're really putting the emphasis behind the adaptation that happens when you're resting and sleeping, right? Because what's the point of doing all this work if you're not recovering? Why would you put yourself through this? So thinking about it in that mentality of like everything serves a purpose, it helps in those moments when you don't want to get out the door. It helps in those moments when you don't want to do your strength work. And it helps when you like don't want to go to bed because you want to scroll TikTok for 3 hours.
Watching Kelly. But that's a really but that's a really good point. And I'm sort of visualizing this coin jar by thinking, you know, I could incorporate that into any training I do with someone because essentially,
right.
You know, like you're right. There's so many components in life, including like the rest and the recovery, the food, the sleep, the massage, you know, like everything that you do towards your running event. You know, we could all end up quite rich at the end of our training program. And maybe those that are coming to New York will have more time and more, you know, so I think that's a really good thing. Do you do it as just a visual or do you do it as a physical things with people that you coach?
This time around, we're doing it as a physical thing. Like I'm asking everyone to get a jar and genuinely like put money in there, like whether it's pennies or, well, we're in a coin shortage here in the States.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's going to be easy for people to find coins.
No one's got cash
they
anymore.
Can do anything.
Yeah, I like
they
it, Kel.
Beans.
Or you could transfer money into a little account, couldn't you? $1 every time from one account to the other.
We have people doing that.
Yeah, I hope you don't mind if I use that, Kelly.
Take it.
Yeah,
I'm sure I stole it from someone.
It's great. Okay, I love that one. So we'll get doing that. So number 5.
This one's really hard. Do your cross training and your strength work. I can tell you I've ran more marathons not doing this than I have actually doing this. And I can tell you it's my biggest regret always is not taking the time to do my cross training and do my strength work the way that would really benefit me. You know, strength work is really important, especially for women and especially for women who are perimenopausal and postmenopausal. Like you have to be lifting heavy. You have to be doing that work. But for everyone across the board, making sure that you're preventing injuries is the name of the game. Like we talked about, you're going to get hurt. It's going to happen, whether it's something small overuse or it's bigger like a fracture or a tear. We want to make sure that it's little, teensy, weensy, and takes days off. And you're going to feel better running. And that's the most important thing. And the way to do that is by doing the aerobic work, low impact cross training, and strength work.
Absolutely, Kelly.
Runner.
Yeah. And I've been a trainer, outdoor trainer for like 15 years. And that actually led me to marathons and running. But the strength training, because a lot of people that I train do the strength training, they seem to always take people over on the hills and have the endurance at the end too, because they've got that extra strength and even the upper body strength, the core strength, the leg strength. It just has so many benefits for people mentally and physically that, some people I train basically can do the strength training, the cross training during the week, and they do one long run. And some of them have been my fastest runners, because also, the other thing I think, Kelly, is that, for a lot of beginner runners, they get bored just running. Whereas with cross training, it can be fun. You can do anything. You can do your swimming, you can do outdoor training like me or boxing, but it's something different and it works your muscles in a different way. So I totally agree with you about cross training.
And you get to do it with a group. Like the way that you do it is like you get to be with all these people who are like along for the ride with you. And that's the way to do it. You've made both cross training and strength work so much fun. Find a group of people to do it with. You find accountability buddies and you find like a real little family group to do this really hard thing with.
Yeah, and it's a positive community, right? Like when people come out to train, it doesn't matter if you're a lawyer, doctor, cleaner, gardener, mother, grandmother, you're all one and the same and you're all there and it's positive energy. You've got that 1 hour and you all give that beautiful energy to one another and support each other. And I totally agree. Whereas running can be quite lonely. I know you run in groups and do groups and you all go and cheer each other on. You can't. Things like that are so valuable for all of us. Yeah.
I agree.
All right. So number 6.
Which leads us to don't do it alone. Oh my God, look at us. Segue queens. I think it's really important to note that like as adults, the older you get, like the less you get to be excited about things. Like when you're a kid, like Friday is exciting. But when you're an adult, it's like few and far between where you really get to be really stoked about what you're doing as like a hobby. And when you're doing it in a group, that stoke level just comes up so much higher. You're stoked for them. They're stoked for you, right? Like just doing 5 push-ups can be this like monumentous occasion, which in like when you're doing it alone, you're like, I'd rather die. Like, this is ridiculous.
Why am I doing it?
And I hate everything. Yeah. But everything becomes a game and it's so much more rewarding and satisfying and fun when you're with a group of people. I don't want to say suffering with the group.
Well, it's true.
The way to go, but
it's pleasurable, isn't it? And it's also like if you look over at yourself and you go, oh, well, that lady's doing it and she might be 20 years older than me. Well, if I was by myself, I wouldn't do it, but she can do it. I can do it. And that energy that you can give, life's about energy. That's how I see it. We all give each other energy. And when you're in this sort of situation, it's all this positive energy that you can take from other people, but also give to people. It's like a trampoline. It's like you're both bouncing energy to each other, which is what life essentially is to me. And it's like seeing a dolphin, isn't it, Kelly? So if we could see a dolphin in that water behind you, if we all saw it together, it would be amazing. But if you saw it by yourself, it would be wonderful, but it would passing moment. And you can sort of celebrate. It's like when you do your marathons. I love seeing you do your runs and things with all your people and your beautiful signs that you put up for your people. Like how much energy you give those people, and they run past and all of a sudden they get more energy and they feel better about themselves. And, it's a beautiful thing because they're not just alone out there. I mean, you give an incredible amount of energy and have given it lots to me. So, and
don't do it alone.
Yeah, don't do it alone. There's no point doing it alone, is there? There's so many people that will embrace you. And I think that thing about it too, Kelly, is that people are scared, like the people that you and I train essentially might not have worked out for a long time, and they're scared of coming out and taking that first step. But if they come to a group and then they realise that they just, like everybody else doesn't care what you do, if you do 10 push-ups or one push-up. They're just encouraging you to be better. So it's taking that first step can be really hard for people. But you and I I totally encourage that. And when they do take that first step, like we saw Namara Lee, and you saw a movie, you hosted that premiere for us too. Thank you, Kelly, for I'm Not a Runner. She took that first step and her whole life changed. And, it's being brave. Okay, number 7. I love this one too, Kelly, because I don't know too much about it, but because I haven't had this. But you tell me what number 7 is.
Number 7, and this unfortunately only applies to people with big boobs, but get a good sports bra. I know this is like never talked about. No one shares what it's like to get a sports bra if this is like a real issue, and they're few and far between. Like everything that's out there is, I would say, mediocre at best. So it's more about like finding the best of the worst, and then really finding ways to like protect yourself. So for me, like I'm a huge fan of athletic tape or KT tape on your bra line wherever things rub. And then making, like, there's that popular saying in the running world, if you love it, lube it. And that applies like anywhere and everywhere, upstairs and downstairs. If your bits touch, make sure that they are lubed in a way that you will appreciate in 2 to 3 hours when you have to take a shower,
Yeah, I love that, Kelly. And I know you've done a really good podcast about that too, because you actually, you're always trying out different bras and things. And, I say that because I don't actually have that problem. I was called flat tack at school because I got no boobs. But, I know a lot of people I train do, and they always ask me about these bras. And I know in one of your podcasts you talked about one person who actually now has studied and become a professional in engineering specific bras. But I know you've got some great podcasts out there, haven't you, Kelly, about the different bras and things that people can access. What is the best, just one of the best ones that you wear or know of?
It's less about like the one sports bra that's great, and it's more about learning your body type. Because This is what I learned. You're referring to Bravolution, which everyone should go and look at if you are a woman, because what matters is like your shoulder shape. So like I have broad shoulders that slope. See how they kind of like come down in like little diagonal lines. Some people are broad shoulders, but they're flat. Some people have narrow shoulders that are like the same, or some slope. So figuring that out, because we have these muscles that are right here, and most sports bras hit right here. So think about it. If you have like 20, 30, 40 pounds in your boobs, and all of that weight is hitting this one muscle right here, doing a 2-3 hour run is going to be really, really hard on that muscle. And you get tension headaches or migraines, which like running that long is already very hard. Why do we need to be like working a muscle that like should have nothing to do with running,
Yep.
So it's less about the perfect bra and more about understanding your body, your body shape, and then understanding sister sizing, which is how you understand how the bra sizing works, so that you can then find the best bra for you. But some of my favorite bras, I like H-back bras, which means that they don't crisscross in the back. They like are straight and narrow, and that's very hard to find because they're not as supportive as a crisscrossy bra. So the two that are my go-to, the crisscrossy one is the new Under Armour bra I really like, but it does hit these muscles. So you have to like kind of like, do I want a headache or do I want to bleed? What am I up for today?
What a choice.
And then the other one is the Lululemon Run Times bra. That one I really like.
Oh, great. Excellent. Thanks, Kelly. There's lots to go into that, but I know that you do have some podcasts that people can listen to about that, haven't you, Kel? And the best thing about your podcast is you've always got the humour, but you've also got the knowledge and the interest, and you have really good people on your show. So definitely listen to Kelly's podcast about that. So number 8.
This one is new to me, and I'm really frustrated that I didn't know about this sooner. Learn about your life stage and your menstrual cycle if you're a woman, because how you train, you can optimize how you train based on where you are in your cycle or your life stage, right? So there's multiple life stages, but the 3 we tend to focus on are premenopause, perimenopause, and postmenopause. And perimenopause and postmenopause, how you train is going to be very different than when you're perimenopause. And then doing simple things like carb loading doesn't work if you are in the high hormone phase of your period, right? So if you're going in before a marathon, like carb loading, it won't work. So I was like, what do you mean? I've been running marathons for years and years and years and years. And I was chasing a Boston Marathon qualifying attempt. And had I known this, right, I was in the high hormone phase of my cycle when I raced. And I didn't know that I needed to be supplementing my fueling sources quicker because my body didn't have access to my glycogen. I would have had a completely different day because I felt flat and exhausted from the moment I started. And I had a big PR, but I probably could have performed the way I wanted to had I known how to tweak my hydration and fueling to support me in what was going on with estrogen and progesterone. So I think that there's so much out there now with so many amazing researchers and so many amazing people talking more about this.
Yeah.
But like, especially peri and postmenopausal, like we just don't support our postmenopausal women at all. So it's really important. Everybody should know about this stuff.
Yeah, I think, our body is an amazing thing. And if we can treat it accordingly to its cycles, we can get so much more from it if we nurture it. Kelly, do you have any podcasts on that too? Have you?
I don't.
No. Okay.
No, that's like mostly stuff we do in coaching.
Right.
It's so much information, but like Dr. Stacey Sims is really great. She's got a bajillion different podcasts out there on this stuff. And like, she's got a book and she has a new postmenopausal book, I believe, that just dropped that like the information's really hard.
Yeah, it is. But there is lots out there.
Like, and it's very sciencey. It makes you appreciate like the researchers and the science people who are like talk to us, normal folks and not people who are like other researchers and really, educated. So on the topic. So don't get discouraged. The stuff that's out there is dense, but like people are starting to dumbify it for us. So
which is fabulous. And it's great that finally, it's being recognized that, women are women and we are different to men and we do need to train differently to men and we need to feed them differently to men and expect different things from our bodies. And we don't have to lose periods and all sorts of things to get into that low BMI and stuff like that. We can actually be really good at any level too. So thank you. That's a really good point. Number 9.
Take some time to write down what inspired you to run your marathon today when you're still super early in it, because you're about to climb Jaded Mountain, and you're going to forget. You're going to forget what excited you and what really like drove you to do this really scary, terrifying, gnarly, badass thing. But write it down and put it somewhere where you can see it so that you can always check in with it when you start to either like get those self-doubts start to creep in, or you just start to like regret decisions, or you're really like you lose that adrenaline that you get in those first couple of weeks after signing up. Write it down so that you can see it and look at it and hold it close to your heart, because that's your why, and it's going to evolve and change, and it's allowed to evolve and change. But it's like, this is the seeds from which, like the orchard's going to grow from.
And it's so true because, so often people say, I've lost my motivation. It's like, well, we are going to lose motivation. You can't have motivation. Some people are training for, essentially sometimes 12 months, Kelly, because, they're starting right at the beginning. So getting the routine and the habit. And everyone loses motivation. I lose motivation. I'm sure you do too, Kelly.
Yeah.
But it's the routine that keeps me going, and the why, and understanding why I exercise, because it's really important to me in so many different ways. But I know my why and why I need to get out of bed. And, you know, my mum's questioned me, and people question me over time, why do you get up at 4:30? And there's been times where I go, why do I get up at 4:30? Well, if I don't get up at 4:30 in the morning, I don't get my exercise done and I don't get to run. And yes, I might be tired, but my priority is that. So understanding why that's important to me enables me to get out of bed. And Kelly, you're right, over here in Australia, it's winter. You know, winter can be really cold, not as cold as yours, but, you know, your head is filled with excuses of why, and it's very logical why you shouldn't get up. But if you've got your why very close to your heart, and I love the thought of, you know, having it written up around the place, so that when you lose that motivation, you look at it, right, that's why I'm getting out of bed. That's why I'm doing these things. And that stands for anything, doesn't it? I've got a son at university. His why is very strong. So he's just highly motivated by himself.
Yep. Yeah. It ebbs and flows, and it's okay for it to ebb and flow. But like, you really, really, really need to take some time to figure out why you want to do it, because there's two types of motivation. There's intrinsic motivation, which comes from inside of you. And then there's extrinsic motivation, which is like a medal, or, you know, putting a 26.2 mile sticker on your car, right? Which those aren't bad.
No.
Like that idea of putting that fucking sticker on my car got me through my first marathon. I'm like, I'm going to put the sticker on my car. And then I had sold the car like 2 months later and moved to New York. But like,
someone else got the car.
Thing I latched onto. Yeah. But intrinsic motivation is something that lasts a lot longer, and it also evolves into other stuff. And it's something that like you can hold for you, and it's only for you. And from intrinsic motivation can come mantras and things that you can use while you're training, but you won't know what that stuff is unless you take the time to sit down and just kind of write on it, because you'll probably discover some stuff, right? You don't know exactly why. And the more you kind of noodle on it, the bigger it gets and the more sources you have to draw from.
Yeah, love it. So this comes to number 10.
Focus on accurate self-talk, right? We hear a lot about positive and negative self-talk, which I don't really care for either of them, right? I care more about accurate self-talk, right? I don't want to run can be accurate, and you're allowed to say that. But the thing that I always tell all my athletes is I want you, whenever you're finding yourself in a place where you're going, like, I can't do that. You're like, okay, is that accurate or inaccurate? It's inaccurate, right? It hasn't happened yet. You cannot predict the future. Maybe you can't. What difference does it make? It hasn't happened yet. You need to go try and give yourself your best and see what happens. But I don't want to run today is something you need to listen to, right? Well, why? Okay, I'm exhausted. I don't want to run today. I'm exhausted. And that's like a check-in. Are you so exhausted that you genuinely need to take a rest day today and like actually sleep? No, I'm just exhausted. And it's like, okay, let's put a but at the end of that sentence. I don't want to run today. I'm exhausted, but I set this goal to run this marathon, and I'm running it in honor of, you know, my sister. And I'm so proud of the work I'm doing, and I'm discovering so much, and every day serves a purpose. So even if today is like a super shitty day, which I'm not saying it is because that's predicting the future, but regardless of what happens, the thing I can focus on today is just putting on my bangin' playlist and really focusing on good running form because I'm tired, right? Like, flesh it out with a but, ... and get the fuck out there, right? Nike said it best. Just do it. You're going to spend more time sitting in your house, like going, oh my God, I'm so tired, right? But it's true. You probably are tired.
Yeah. But you probably feel better. And you're right. And if you get out there, like I always say, just go out for 10 minutes. If you really don't want to be out there, then go home. At least you gave it a shot and you got your answer. And like you said, you know, you don't know if you'll be able to run a marathon, but that's the beauty. It doesn't matter if you don't. It's at least you get your answer, you know, like you'll have your answer if you try. Kelly, thank you for all those tips, because there's some wonderful tips in there, and there's some wonderful tips for me that I'm going to take from that, including the coin jar. So thank you so much. We've just got to pull up some photos, and I really want you to tell us about the photo and how you're feeling. We've got about 3 minutes just to go through some photos of Kelly and your running and your group. So we'll just pull up the first one. Can you tell us about this pic?
Oh, this is me living my best life in Brooklyn Bridge Park, just out enjoying the autumn crispness, having a nice little jog.
You look
a total candid.
Look very happy and beautiful there, Kelly. And it does look like a beautiful weather. Now tell us about this one.
Oh my God. That's the New York City Marathon. That is the day I broke 4 hours for the first time. I came in at like 3:59 and like 57.
Oh.
And I didn't know if I did it. And I was like looking at my watch. And it was like in that moment where I was like, I don't know if I did it. And then right after I crossed the line, my phone blew up from like my sister and everyone being like, you did it.
Oh, that's a fantastic, fantastic moment. And look at this one. What's this? Tell us about this moment.
Oh, this is the coolest opportunity I've ever had doing my bougie job as a running influencer coach.
Oh.
I got to take part in this thing called the Foot Locker 5-Borough Challenge, where it's during the New York City Marathon, but we got to start the race an hour before the women's heat, which starts 30 minutes before the men's heat. So we were out there. We ran all of Brooklyn by ourselves. And I got to represent Brooklyn. And like I've lived in New York at this point for like 6 years. And it was so incredible because everywhere I went, I knew someone, like an old boss or a friend. And like it was so bananas. Like we ran the Queensboro Bridge by ourselves.
Well,
there was no one on it.
Wow. So was there still all the spectators? Because there's millions of people that come out.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So you were like the front runners. You were like in the lead.
And then I wrote something silly on my sports bra. So like it was so much fun. I almost got ran over by our police escort like 5 times.
So how much of the marathon did you run? How much did you run? Like was it the whole marathon or was it the...
You run the whole marathon, but it's a race within a race, quote unquote. So like, it's not because they don't find people of like similar athletic levels, you know, like some of us were like, I had just tried to BQ. So like I was in great shape, but injured. And then someone was like a 3:20, you know, marathoner. Then someone was like a 6-hour marathoner. So like, you know, staying together for 13 miles.
Oh, you had to all stay together.
Race was very tough.
Oh my goodness.
Very tough.
So it's just this small group here. Okay, this is the next photo, Kelly, and I had to bring this one because I want to know what's going on this one.
This is my last half marathon that I did last fall, and I was having the worst day ever. Like almost pooped my pants like 6 times. I don't know what was going on. It was just that weird day where like my stomach wasn't cooperating. And I had plantar fasciitis and it was like blowing up. And so that's one of my athletes, Leslie, who lives in Ohio, but she flew out we were all going to run it together and she stayed with me. And so we took a little silly photo.
And did you finish it?
Yeah, we did. Only because where we were when I was like ready to be like, this is dumb. I shouldn't be doing this. I'm just hurting myself. I was like, there's nowhere, no one can pick us up. Like we need to at least walk this in. I hit up every porta potty in Philly.
Oh dear, you poor thing. So you're actually sick.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on. I felt awful.
Now look at this one, Kel. Look at this. It's full with emotion. Tell me about what you're feeling here.
Oh, that's that same race where my hands are above my head. That's when I broke 4 hours and I had realized I'd done it. And it was just like one of those days where I was just like, I couldn't believe it. I could not believe I did it.
Beautiful. It is a special moment on that finishing line at New York. Now this one, we were just speaking about this before, going, what is going through her mind here? Like it is a sensational photo, but what is going through that mind? And what was it?
So this is the year I was trying to BQ for the first time. And this was about 2 or 3 weeks before Chicago, the race day. And this was like my last tune-up. And I ran so effing fast. And it was like one of those days that felt effortless.
You had a good day.
Kind of finished and I was like, holy shit, it might happen. I can't believe this human being that I've become. I can't believe I just ran 10 miles at that pace. That was kind of like that moment of like, it was, I would say this is less about that race and more about like the culmination of that like 6 months of like sheer terror and work that I had put in.
And look at you, so pumped. It's fantastic. And it's so good, you know, all those obstacles that you have to navigate for those 6 months of training and everything, that you just get so pumped. Now, I love this because it shows some of your people. There's so many photos we could have picked, but look at this. Tell us about this.
This was a half marathon that we ran in the spring of 2019, I believe. These are all badass these like friends and women who are in the Badass Lady Gang all across, the East Coast of the United States. And it was like, it's just so fun to be at the finish line and have people that, are former Badass Lady Gang leaders or whatever, like who you don't even know are going to be there, be like, oh my God, what are you doing here? And, like, that was kind of like one of those moments. Oh. That race was really hard. That was a tough day at the office.
Wow. And this is the Badass Lady Gang. This is you. This is the energy that you spread around to everybody. So thank you for being here and sharing all of that, Kelly. You're a sensational woman and sensational how you motivate and inspire so many people of all different levels to run and get out there and be fit and healthy. So thank you for your time. It's been wonderful to speak to you, and thank you for sharing all of your tips.
Oh, right back at you. Anytime I can chat with you, I take it.
Kelly Roberts, please listen out. Go get a podcast because it will change all your runs. Listen to her, have a laugh with her as she shares all of her other information that she has. Thanks for watching. If you want more, go to annaliptak.com.